It's time for Matthew's parable broadcast. The interstellar community needs to hear this important message.
Thank you very much for that lead-in, Luna. Today we're going to be talking about a parable of escalation and institutional evasion. It's a legal educational analogy and it's titled The Red Light Denial. So we're going to require your imaginations, please. And it goes like this. A detective warrant officer, typically found in, say, a police department, is invited into a car by a local congregational elder. He insists that he simply wants to show the DWO around the area. Nothing formal, just a demonstration of cooperative goodwill. But as the journey begins, the elder drives confidently through a red traffic light, not out of confusion or emergency, but knowingly and willfully. The elder has publicly and privately, even with stronger language, said that his own governance is above all others, having been installed by God himself. The DWO, alert to his duty, calmly points out, "You just went through a red light." The elder denies it outright with very careful wording, saying, "Are you sure? You may have misunderstood. Do you have a witness who will support you?" Now the DWO is momentarily uncertain. He saw it, but he doesn't want to necessarily escalate the matter. Perhaps he lets it slide, trusting that surely this is a respected elder, not a threat. But soon they approach another intersection. And again the elder runs through another red light. This time there are witnesses, a few bystanders, perhaps even a nearby traffic camera. The DWO raises his voice, warning, "You're breaking the law. I need to report this." But now instead of compliance, the elder becomes hostile. He pulls over, he locks the doors, and he says, "You're making a fuss over nothing. You're closed in for your own safety, as I must care for you kindly and lovingly. I sense you may be having a mental episode. I therefore don't recognize your authority in this car. In fact, I have a different interpretation of what constitutes a red light, or right or wrong for that matter. You see, in our community, red means caution or an emergency situation, not always stop. Now, I'm sure you've gone through such traffic lights yourself, when it's deemed important, isn't it? And I've supported your right to do so. You see, you're my public servant under God. In fact, you are actually God's property." Suddenly the car's no longer just a vehicle, is it? It's a mobile jurisdiction under an authorized legal code, where the elder believes his own rules outrank the nation's traffic laws. He then calls in others, friends of his, elders from other towns, even international associates who show up to argue that the DWO is misusing his office. He's emotionally unstable or misunderstanding the spiritual nuance. Now boxed in, the DWO realizes this elder and his network are not just avoiding accountability, they're constructing a parallel system where civil law is reinterpreted, overwritten, and neutralized. The DWO, a representative of the law, is effectively kidnapped in an illusion of dialogue. By the time authorities try to intervene, the elders team has already smeared the DWO, buried the footage, and convinced the public that stopping at red lights is a matter of interpretation, especially when done by faithful men authorized by God, G-O-D, and the very badge that was issued to the DWO. Eventually, the DWO is stripped of his ability to enforce basic law and is forced to call for protection himself. What should have been a routine citation or warning has now become an international incident because the original act, a simple traffic violation, was never acknowledged. Everything spiraled from that point on. And all of it, every layer of conflict, trauma, and bureaucratic convolution, could have been entirely avoided if the driver had simply admitted, "You know, you're right. I shouldn't have done that. I ran the red light. I'm sorry." That single act of truth and humility would have restored authority, preserved dignity, and kept peaceful coexistence between civil law and spiritual guidance. So what's the implications for real-world institutions here? Well, when clergy or elders create self-sealing systems of spiritual legality, denying all wrongdoing, they endanger not only their congregants, but public officers, legal systems, and victims seeking justice. So this is how spiritual power, left unchecked, becomes a shadow government. Not for good, but for hijacking law enforcement through cultural coercion, legal technicalities, and reputational manipulation. And it's very sophisticated. In this metaphor, the DWO represents both secular justice and the conscience of community protection. A conscience which is gaslit, restrained, and ultimately threatened by those who should be models of integrity. So what's the summary? Well, here, the elders' refusal to own a clear violation combined with a networked denial escalated a small act into a structural abuse of power, compromising the DWO, risking public safety, and undermining the rule of law. This metaphor stands as a training parable, not only for police, but for courts, ethics boards, and clergy accountability systems, especially where internal religious jurisdiction threatens to override civil process. Thank you so much for listening.